Senator Darlene Graham's advanced to a special Senate GOP primary runoff in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Marcela Sanchez has a development in the Arizona governor's race.
Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs has chosen John Giles, a Republican turned independent, to be her running mate in a tough re-election campaign.
This is a kind of a non-traditional selection, but it's a non-traditional office in the state of Arizona. So everything about this is new.
His name on the ticket is aimed at appealing to Republicans and conservative independents in a state that was once a GOP stronghold. Giles is a critic of President Trump and has endorsed Democrats, including Kamala Harris. The former mayor of Mesa was a registered Republican for decades until he changed his party affiliation to independent in May. The Republican nominee is U.S. Representative Andy Biggs, whose running mate is Sine Kerr, a farmer and Republican former state lawmaker. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
This is AP News. A new kind of play is coming to college football. Mike Kempen explains the fair catch kick.
The National Football Foundation says the fair catch kick will be part of college football during the upcoming season. A team could choose to attempt a fair catch kick after a completed or awarded fair catch. The kick would be a place kick with a holder or a drop kick from the spot where the returner caught the ball. If the kick goes through the uprights, it's worth 3 points. The introduction of the fair catch kick aligns Division I college football rules with NFL and high school rules. It was last used in the NFL in 2024. In another rule change, targeting penalties in the second half of a game will no longer require the offending player to sit out the first half of his team's next game, and offensive pass interference will be a 10-yard penalty instead of 15. I'm Mike Hempen.
With more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway. Eat fresh, feel good.
Need a truck that works as hard as you do? Then head to Triple J Ford's Big Deals on Big Wheels sales event. For a limited time, score prices below dealer cost and drive home America's best-selling truck for 49 years. The legendary Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Choose from the rugged XL, stylish STX, or well-equipped XLT. All backed by the strength, capability, and innovation only Ford delivers. But don't wait. All stock must go. Visit Triple J Ford in Upper Tumont or get pre-approved and shop online at triplejguam.com. Triple J Ford, customers first.
The big summer getaway is still raging at Agana Shopping Center. Every $10 purchase is your ticket to massive prizes. You could win a 75-inch TV, a $100 gas card, a 2-night stay at PIC, and more. Plus, you could win up to $1,000 in United Airlines vouchers to fly anywhere United flies. Keep dropping those raffle coupons in the drop boxes and don't miss the grand drawing on August 15th. Shop and win before time runs out at Agana Shopping Center. Must be present to win. See posters for details.
Hafa Day! I'm Clint Rigel, and I'm running for senator. If you're looking for proven, effective leadership, vote for me, and let's grow Guam together. I'm Clint Rigel, and I approve this message.
The countdown has begun. Cost You Less is preparing something special for Hagana, and you won't want to miss it. Family fun, live entertainment, community celebrations, and more are on the way. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for details.
Everyone has savings goals. Whatever you're saving for, Bank of Hawaii wants to help you reach your possible. That's why with our Bank Ohana 12-month CD special, you can earn 3.4% annual percentage yield with a minimum deposit of $5,000 from another bank. Requires a Bank Ohana checking account with an opening deposit of $500. So reach your savings goals with our 12-month CD special.
Anything's possible.
Reach your possible with Bank of Hawaii. For terms and conditions, go to boh.com/CD special.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan. Join the Guam photo hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
Pat's Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And To keep you cool, Pat's also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
KGUM-FM, Dedito, the talk of Guam. This is Wave 105.1 FM, a Glimpses Media radio station.
In the afternoon, we are KGUM FM, Dedito, Guam. Welcome to the show, Wave 105. This is the BrightSide. My name is Ryan Nicholas, and every day, Monday through Friday, I get the pleasure of introducing this gentleman right here, the host of the BrightSide here on Wave 105, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
We do want to thank our sponsors, and that's Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Micro Pack for sound tech and everything in between. Think Micro Pack. Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh. Triple J, it's big deals on big wheels at Triple J Ford. Save thousands off retail and drive home a new Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Visit Triple J Ford today. Customers first. And GTA, we start with you. Welcome to it. Another bright side here on Wave 105. Biba Metcallis.
Biba. Man, we're halfway.
August 12th.
Halfway there already. Hump Day Wednesday.
Yes.
Man, we're moving. How many more days to election? 83?
80 some.
I think it's 83, I think. Yeah.
We're kind of far off.
Yeah. I think the Guam Election Commission.
It's like 80. It's if you go on the Guam Election Commission's website.
Yeah, I think it's 83.
I'm actually more excited for the first games of the NBA. And even before that is football season. This weekend is the first week of the preseason.
Yeah, but it doesn't count.
Yeah, but you get to look at everybody and you see where everybody stacks up against each other.
But, you know, most of these players, like especially like with the NBA preseasons and football preseason, they don't really show their big guns, right?
Like one snap.
Yeah, sometimes
they'll like do one set.
Sometimes their star players don't even play in the games and everything. 82. It's 82 days till the election.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to be exact, 82, 16 hours. 46 minutes and 16 seconds.
That's just too much. I'm not that excited.
I'm not. I mean, now it's like, you know, after the primary, everybody's sitting down. It's the reset, right? So,
yeah.
You know, now it's all strategy now, right? This is where the deal making happens.
Deal making? What do you mean?
You know, to try to bring people in from the other camps that didn't make it.
Okay.
I mean,
keep the Democrats strong.
Yeah. You know, in a perfect world,
don't join the dark side over there on the right. It's usually darker on the right side of the building.
Why do you say that?
I'm kidding.
You know, why do you say that?
I'm kidding.
Because they're trying to be conservative to keep the lights on?
I'm kidding.
No, but
the bright side is the right side.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, either left or right, right? We're in the middle. But yeah, so this is where the deal making happens, and you try to court people, and then, you know, the olive branches, right? If, you know, is extended.
But do you really? Let me just play devil's advocate, if you don't mind putting the camera on. Real quick.
Yeah. Here we go.
Let me just play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Do you really want to make deals? I mean, you made it into the primary, past the primary, and you might want to just reassess and be like, do I really want the team that I just beat, or the team that the people decided not to go with, to join my camp? Because I don't want to be guilty by association. And so if we really look at who's now, when we're just talking about the gubernatorial camps, the people have decided they want something very different than the current administration. So what kind of deals are you making deals with the current administration? Are you making deals with Josh and Tina? Because that might not be a good idea.
Well, in a perfect...
And again, I'm just being devil's advocate.
No.
Because I can kind of see a strategy as well. There's numbers there.
Pauly, let me just...
There's all of those votes that Josh had.
That
we would like those.
Everything, your assessment right there sounds perfect and everything, but from fantasy to reality here. It's all about numbers. Politics is all about
And I am going to
addition.
yuck your yum because I think that is complete nonsense.
No, I get it.
Because the people deserve more than let's just get the win and let's make deals to make us be governor and lieutenant governor.
But on that same token, politics is all about addition, not subtraction. Now, there is a power vacuum with the groups that did not make it, the teams that did not make it, and that's a lot of votes that either Vice Speaker Tony or Senator Therese can utilize to get to Adelute.
But you want those numbers for sure, but do you want the leadership behind these camps to join you?
Yeah, I don't think it's the leadership. It's
Well, I'm not even just talking about Josh and Tina.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just talking about Frank and Mary, because I think it would be great to have the endorsement of these individual people.
Yeah. And I think
But cabinet members? Do we really want the same cabinet members?
I think you're missing the point on terms of not the cabinet members. It's the supporters of these people, right? I mean Josh does got, he did obtain a significant amount of 5,000. So where's that 5,000 going to go? Right, when you really do the numbers, half of it will go to Therese, half of it will go to Vice Speaker Tony. But it comes down to this, man. Before we God and country and island, and we're going to pick the in a Fruitopian world, that is like the best thing, right? Where we're going to pick the best candidate to lead Guam, but it doesn't work that way. A lot of people are like, okay, what's in it for me? I mean, how many times have you... me and my family
I don't
are
agree
voting.
with the whole fantasy reality because a very real reality is people are going to look at who is very different from this current administration.
Yeah.
And if I start seeing people that look very similar to this current administration...
No, that's a double-edged sword, too, as well.
They could be moving on to the other camp. And be like, yeah, no, I'm voting for something that looks very different.
Yeah. But,
I don't think that that's fantasy. I think that's really on people's minds.
Now, just imagine if you were a limited-term employee, right, that got hired with this administration, right? Okay, you already have a lifestyle and everything, and you pay your bills and whatnot. And there's of course, the two that, passed on to the general that made it through the primary. If one says, when we go in, we're going to have to cut, right? We're going to have to, streamline the government and everything. And then you have somebody else saying, no, we're going to move and we're going to bring Guam forward and everything and all. Who do you think that one person is going to vote for? I mean, and that's the God honest truth. When the livelihood of my family, my household is in jeopardy, I'm going to go with the guy or the girl that would protect that if they want my vote.
I am very interested. This election is very serious, right? It's extremely important. But I am not going to put me and my family's livelihood on an election. That's just to me is living in a dream world. We have to be able to take care of our family and provide in many ways. If we're going to blame an election on the failures or the lack of support that my family's having, then who's living in a fantasy world?
Well, then you would have to blame the current administration for putting up the hopes. of these families. We'll pick you up, and you work for me and everything and all that. They didn't make it, and so now that
You're talking about a small number. The
small number?
The totality of the island is
okay.
not trying to get a job in the campaign.
No.
I mean, in the
they're
administration.
They are currently working.
So,
they are currently working, and like I said, if one candidate says we're going to have to streamline,
I think we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about the totality of this island and the future of this island, not who's going to get a job in November or in January.
Remember what I said. If you are currently working in the administration as a limited term employee, you're going to be looking out for your job. They're not looking for a job with the administration. They are currently working for the government as a limited term employee. So if one candidate says we're going to have to cut, and the other candidate says no, we're going to move forward and do our thing, who do you think that one current limited employee is?
I don't think limited term employees are going to decide this election.
Well, there's quite a few of them. I mean, just look at the staffing pattern everywhere.
Listen to what Ryan's saying. So if you're not a limited term employee, you should be very upset over that.
Well,
and you should be like, you know what? I'm going to get all of my friends and my family that aren't limited term employees that just want to make sure that we have the right leadership in place that is not just looking to take care of limited term employees.
But here's the thing. Who comes out to vote? Not the people you're talking about. It's the people that are currently in the government.
You should be offended of that statement too now.
No, really. Think about it.
You should be offended. Ryan just said that you don't go to vote.
Yeah.
Unless you're a limited term employee.
No. No. What I'm saying is those who come out to vote, all right, have a stake in it. All right, whether it's to get a job, like you said, in the government, or if they're currently working.
I'm offended by that,
no,
bro.
Seriously.
Because I'm not a limited term employee.
I'm not a limited term employee, but I've seen the trend. I've seen it.
Okay.
Right? I've seen it, and I've worked with some of them. And these guys are the ones that are, waving the flag and, going out there standing, waving and everything. I mean, and we know, this, Pauly. You've seen it. You've seen these
How
people.
many limited term employees do we have? If we just look at the GovGuam employees and we count the totality, the total is not going to be how many people voted.
Yeah.
There are far more people.
There are far more people,
Yeah.
but then most of them doesn't come out to vote. I mean, look at the numbers that come out to vote. Every
I would
election.
argue that there are quite a few.
The numbers.
That there are quite a few. Well, I mean, limited term are going to vote for sure. But there are quite a few people that aren't limited term. Look at the private sector.
No, you're
Are
right.
you telling me that businesses aren't voting?
You're right, and that's the sad thing about it. That's why I always encourage everybody to come out and vote. If you're registered, regardless whether you work in the private sector or the government sector, come out and vote so that you can. But majority of it, I mean, when you look at the numbers from past elections, 30%? Out of 100, so that already tells you, I mean, when we have close to 60,000 voters, but only about 30 or 28,000 come out to vote, then there's something wrong. And so you already know that most of the people that we're talking about, the private sector, the ones that are too busy to, I'm like, you know what, I got to go work.
There's apathy.
And that apathy.
There are
too,
people that say, no matter what I do,
exactly.
no matter if I vote, even though I vote, nothing will change.
And that is why you and I always encourage everybody to come out and vote, regardless of whether you feel your vote is going to make a change or not.
Right.
Because if you don't, then the powers that be in the government is always, regardless who makes it, be it Senator Tony or Senator Therese,
right.
that stigma is always going to be there about elections.
I'm hoping we can get Mr. Ed Ontalon on sooner than later. I reached out, and I'm hoping I can confirm his appearance either on the phone or I'd love to have him in the studio. He's the chamber chairman.
Yes, really good
so
guy.
I saw his release this morning, or his
What was it about? What was it about?
Voting.
Okay.
And so I was going to save this one, but since we're on the topic,
we're
right? He's saying the chamber is saying that GovGuam needs to show what taxpayers are actually getting for their money. And so...
I mean, as a government as a whole,
right.
or on the election?
What taxpayers are actually getting for, the whole... No, the
for
budget.
The 1.4
the
billion. The 1.4
yeah.
billion. Yeah.
And so... the government shouldn't measure success by how much money it spends. It should measure success
on how much money
by
it
what
has.
it actually gets done.
Yeah.
So,
and has.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's well, I'm just using what he's saying.
Yeah.
Ed Antolon's saying.
I'll
right?
add on has.
Yeah. The governor, he in his op-ed today in the PDN, the governor vetoed the legislature's budget because she believes important government services need more money. And so the chamber's position is, well, stop worrying about which side wins the political fight and figure out a budget that works. And so they want the governor and the legislature to come together on a budget that protects essential government services, keeps the BPT down to 4%. The governor's there already. I believe that's her compromise.
Yeah.
Is to keep it at 4%. He says use revenue numbers that are realistic and clearly show taxpayers what they're getting for the money that they're paying into.
Yeah.
Right? Their taxes. And so if any agency wants more money, then you're going to have to explain what we're getting. And so that's his biggest point, right? If public health, GDOE, police, fire, childcare, or any other government program is saying we need $5 million, then he's saying that the conversation shouldn't stop there. He wants the government to answer, what exactly are we going to get?
What are we paying for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we give you $5 million, what are we going to get? I want to see actionable. I want to see a receivable. I want to see a delivery.
Yeah, return on investment.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, because, when it comes to when everybody's talking about this $1.4 billion budget, okay, that for me is an enormous amount. But I don't mind paying, this budget if the services are up to par. Like, I can go over there to Rev and Tax, and it's not going to take me a full day of waiting just to get my license or getting my car registration. That shouldn't happen with a $1.4 billion budget. The hospital should not be in the shambles it is with a $1.4 billion budget. Simon Sanchez should have been, fixed up long time ago with a $1.4 billion budget. But if we're paying this much and there's nothing to show for it, then there is a disconnect pretty much between what we see or what we're paying for and what we're getting. And I totally agree with Mr. Ed. And he's, this is not his first go around the block. I mean, this guy knows when it comes to numbers. He knows his stuff.
He says the chamber wants to know the result. Are kids actually learning more? Are patients getting better care?
Oh, geez.
Are our neighborhoods safer?
I just
Are
said the
permits
exact
getting
same thing,
approved
and
faster?
I haven't even read what he did.
Are the roads and infrastructure actually working? Are businesses creating more jobs?
Yeah.
And so don't just tell taxpayers how much you spent. Show them what changed because you spent it.
Yeah. So it's not, how Tom Cruise was always, show me the money, right? I was like, no, I think Ed and everybody else here in Guam, show me the progress.
Yeah. Instead of just asking, well, what's your plan?
Yeah.
How much, and instead of just saying, how much will it cost? It should be, what exactly are you promising to accomplish?
Yeah. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, if Pauly wanted a new sports car, you would pay that top dollar and everything, right? But you would also want to make sure that everything is good to go to get you to spend that much on that sports car. But if you're gonna buy a sports car for the same amount and the engine is jacked, of course you're gonna question that, right? If the tire is flat, you're gonna question that. So that's basically what we're getting with the government of Guam. We're paying an enormous amount of all of these things, but the services have not improved. The services have stayed stagnant for the last 20 years. We're still talking about a power panel at GMH that hasn't been, since 2018. And I'm like, wow, okay. And then we're still talking about the Simon Sanchez deal. We're still talking about the recruitment of police officers. We need more police officers. We need more firefighters. There's so many things that we still need, but when you look at the budget that we spent 20 years ago, which was like almost 200, 300 million, spending up till now at 1.4 million, and we're still at 20 years ago standards. So there's no significant change, and I totally agree with Mr. Ed's assessment on this, because why are we paying so much, but the services and everything it's not improving? Why are we still waiting for a power panel, waiting for 8 hours to get our driver's license? These are things that the taxpayer in itself has to question, and it comes back down to voting. This is why it's very important that you study the candidates and look who's doing something, and look who's all just there for sound bites and looking good. Because, can you imagine 20 years from now, everything is still stagnant, but now we're over there, we're almost $1 trillion budget?
We're not close to $1 trillion budget. 1.4 billion.
Yeah, 20 years ago, I didn't think the government of Guam would ever spend 1 billion.
Oh, you're talking about President Trump with this $4 trillion deficit. That's who you're talking about. Yes, because Guam's not anywhere near $1 trillion budget.
Of course not.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if 20 years ago was 300 million under Governor Felix, right? That was his budget, right? All the way up till now. So that was 16 years ago, right, with Governor Felix, right? So now, 16 years later, 17 years later, we're at a $1.4 billion budget now.
Inflation, people get raises, right? The administration
that's fine.
Was just catching up with the 20% pay increase that past administrations were not providing. And so that's how we got there. And then health insurance, too,
but the
is
services,
an issue, right? No,
but
I
the
agree.
Services
I'm
are still
right
the
there
same.
with you.
Yeah, the services are
But
still the same.
That's
notwithstanding,
how we're getting to 1.4 billion.
Notwithstanding everything that we foresee already, like inflation and then shipping costs and everything's going to skyrocket.
Right.
But at a 1.4 billion, no, I don't think so. I don't think especially when the services that government is supposed to provide, education, healthcare, and public safety, when it's still at 20 at a 20-year ago standard compared to now. There's a big difference between 400 million back then versus the 1.4 billion dollars that we're spending now. And notwithstanding everything that we talked about with inflation and sales and taxes and whatnot, and trying to keep up with the employee standards and everything, that's fine. But when the key point that Mr. Ed, I believe, is trying to make is the services are not meeting the standard of a $1.4 billion price tag. If it's still 20 years ago, I mean, services hasn't been improved. I mean, a couple months ago, we were just talking about, property tax that they weren't putting out because their system went down. So now that we passed this 1.4 billion, are we good to go now? I mean, are all the systems in DRT going to be up to par now? We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's, I agree. I agree with Mr. Ed. I kind of he's on point with me. I see where he's coming from. Just everything that you're talking about, I'm like, okay.
And I also agree with Ed that lowering the BPT is not going to solve all the issues, right? Or having it at 4%. There still needs to be more conversation about how we can find real results, and also how we can adjust the budget better.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many government agencies are spread across the island that are paying rent.
Yeah.
When we have some of these vacant government facilities.
Exactly. I mean, why are we paying rent? I mean, especially like when you have Gov Guam buildings and even if we have Gov Guam buildings,
and the population of public school students continue to decrease. You have a whole corridor down in Southern, and it's as though I don't want to work down South. We're like, well, are you a government agency? We got to put you in a government facility.
Yeah, you're gonna get but schools are not conducive to the work that we do here.
It can be.
As long as you have a roof on your head, that's all that matters. But I would think that if the government has the resources, I mean, think about all the money that they would save if they house all these agencies in one area, right? You don't have to go from one agency to the other. It's like really the true one stop, right? But I mean, to save in rent, that should be a number that somebody does down the legislature. How much money can we save in rent via government agencies?
Oh, I think I would say in the millions if you add it all together.
Exactly.
In a year? Yes, absolutely.
So this question about 4%, 4.5, 5%, a lot of people don't realize that this BPT was only supposed to be temporary. It was, I mean.
Yeah, they're just putting it back to 4%.
Yeah,
but guess who did it?
Mm-hmm.
Our friend President Trump.
Yeah, well, it all started with him because when he had his tax cut, Guam was gonna feel the $60 million tax cut, meaning we weren't gonna get that.
Right.
And so the government of Guam had to supplement that with something. So we're like, okay, let's raise the BPT from 4 to 5. And as a result of that, we were getting surpluses of $80-70 million a year. And when Governor Liu came in, it was like, okay, this was only supposed to just, COVID happened, and then now we're back up and everything. She's like, no, I want to keep it. Yeah. And so she kept it for the whole duration of her term as governor for pretty much 8 years.
Since we're on the topic of Trump, the tariffs, have you seen the reimbursements? For tariffs?
No.
So many corporations. Walmart's getting their reimbursement. Apple's getting reimbursements. Amazon. Guess who's not?
Who?
The taxpayer. There were promises that they were going to get the U.S. $0. It is going to Walmart.
Okay.
It is going to Amazon. The other issue is Doge is now on the hot seat. Because remember when they said, I think it was our Elon Musk guy who was like, we're gonna cut the deficit from 4 to 3. I think we can find $2 trillion in waste and fraud. That never came to fruition.
What about the one that they found?
Never. And now we're even in a deeper hole because of the war in Iran.
What about, what's her name, Minnesota, where they found corruption there with, the child care thing going on?
I don't think that she's on trial.
She's on the millions, though. Yeah, she's in the millions, the hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions are nowhere near trillions.
Yeah, and she's been defrauding the federal government via COVID for their child care thing. What's her name? Olan Omar or whatever, Congresswoman. Yeah,
I don't think she's being charged with anything. I think that's just the Republicans saying one thing or another. Are there child care facilities that are being charged? Yes. For fraud? Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the Doge promises, I was a fan of Doge. I was like, yes, find the waste, find the fraud. But they're not finding much. Very little, nowhere close to what they said they were. And those tariff reimbursements are not working out anymore.
So
the reimbursements are going back to the companies, like Nintendo when they were doing the Switch, and they added on the price for the Switch too. Nintendo's getting reimbursed, and yet everybody and the people that purchased it and had that added cost for that tariff, they're not getting reimbursed. They're
not even taking it out.
There's no rebate.
They're not taking it out.
No.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so all of those promises of cheaper groceries and reimbursements for all of the tariffs because it's going to be great, they're going back to billion-dollar companies. So
I gotta watch.
What happened to cheaper groceries, my friend? We're not seeing it here. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when you talk about child care, we're hurting because we're not getting more. We're getting the bare minimum, and now the local government in the budget, Governor Leon Guerrero just added $7 million to go to child care for the child care centers that are doing the work for fiscal year 2027. that's something that we have
No,
to
but-
eat moving forward.
But remember what Teresa Areola said, that because of the investigations in regards to child care back in the United States, the federal government...
Not off on our...
No.
Yeah.
So it does...
Not at our... it is at our expense, but
Yes.
not at our fault.
Yeah, not at our fault,
Yeah.
because of all the fraud that is coming out with child care.
There is fraud.
That's
yes.
what's the delay with the payment from the federal government into the GovGuam coffers, because now they're like, no, we have to really...
Well, President Trump is on the record for saying, though, that the federal government shouldn't even be paying these subsidies. The states need to do it, and that includes territories. So all of these programs, these federal funded programs that are federal programs, are not going to get the kind of support under this administration. And so our own taxpayer money, because it is important to us, right? We're having to now expand our own budget so these programs can continue. Otherwise, 20% of those that are in the child care program
it's gonna be
won't be...
There'll be no more program.
Yeah, they won't be in the program.
Yeah.
And so that's $7 million that is now moving forward, as long as Trump is president, that has to come from our own coffers. And I don't have a problem with it. But when you are arguing about why is the budget $1.4 billion, these things add up.
Yeah, no. Again, and again, it's not an argument. It's more or less, we get what we pay for, and if I'm paying for something 20 years ago at 1.4 billion, then obviously there is a major disconnect with being what is being charged to the federal, to the taxpayers of Guam, and what is being presented as, because as a GovGuam agency, you want to be up to par. Like, okay, if they come up and ask for $5 million, like, this is for our new computer program that's going to make things easier. We're going to need the vendor payments because
and data center again for OTEC.
All of this stuff.
The new police station.
So I'm
the new police headquarters.
In other words, I'm not too, I'm actually in support of a 1.4 billion. If the services that were provided were good.
Yeah.
And then you can actually see it.
Yes.
And I think that is what Mr. Ed Untalan is trying to say. Like, look, let's go see the investment that, we're pumping all this money into.
True.
And because, like you said, with all of these other things like child care, and then, who knows, there might be other things that the federal government is going to cut. We really need to be ready for that. Because we cannot burden the additional cost from what the federal government says, no, the states or the territory, and the territories have to take care of it on its own. How are we going to do that? The Governor Liu just gave $5 million, but the legislature had just recently passed the emergency where it's going to fund this year and next year, so that next year we have that buffer zone to find, okay, when the collections are good, do we want to continue this, or do we just do away with it because we can't afford it? Hopefully in 2 years things will pick up, and services that we pay for, such as the child care, if the federal government says we don't want to do this anymore, this is all on you guys now, at least maybe in 2 years we can actually afford it. But I'm glad the legislature had the foresight to do it this year and next year. Because it gives us that.
Oh, that's the
zone.
Governor's idea.
Oh, was it governor's?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The governor,
they passed it. Yeah.
Public Health said, hey, we need the 7, and then, they control the purse strings.
Okay.
And so the legislature, okay. And then the governor sent down this new budget, right? That includes the 7.6, and their legislature's questioning it. And we don't know yet if this is what they'll find, because, again, the governor vetoed their budget bill. And so now they're discussing her new budget bill that has the 7.6. So who has the foresight? It's the governor.
So what was passed, though?
Nothing. It got vetoed, remember?
No, the Bobby.
Oh, yeah, that's separate. That's not the budget. And what was passed was also sent down from the governor.
Okay.
Right? That's her bill, 19S.
Yeah.
Is her bill saying, legislature, can you give us X amount of money for the recovery? Legislature, can you make sure that Public health at least gets $7.6 million for to pay child care providers June, July, August, and September. That's only for that. You will need to appropriate another 7.6 so that way all of the child care providers get their what is due to them for the entire fiscal year 2027.
Did she point that out? Like,
yes.
okay, so you're going to pass for these 4 months, but then next year too as well?
Next year you're going to have to do it because you're only going to get the $22 million from the federal government. And if you want to cover all of the children in the current program, 22 is not enough.
Yeah.
7.6 on top.
Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So
All
the
right.
governor needs to get we can always call out the governor. There's plenty of things that I don't agree with, but if it's her idea and her administration, we got to give her the credit,
Of
right?
course,
Same
yes,
thing with
yes.
President Trump. If you're like, hey, man, this is good. Remember when you said the war in Iran is over 2 weeks? I'm so happy it was going to be over. Guess what? It's been over a year now.
Really?
Yes. It has been over a year since they bombed Iran the first time, saying we destroyed their nuclear bombs. I was like, thank you. Success. Yes. And it's only done in 2 weeks. Woohoo. It's been over a year.
All right.
It's terrible.
Notwithstanding, his hair is awesome. Okay, I'm not even gonna say anything. That blonde hair, look like a toupee, is awesome.
Oh, it's gonna match the Golden Dome.
Yeah, man, talk about Trump all you want, but that hair of his,
oh gosh,
like straight up, he just gone, took 2 cans of hairspray and he maxed it out on his head. White rain and rave and all.
Want to take the break?
Yes, let's
All
do
right,
that.
2:47 in the afternoon, Wave 105.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for pickup or delivery. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
The countdown has begun. Cost You Less is preparing something special for Hagana, and you won't want to miss it. Family fun, live entertainment, community celebrations, and more are on the way. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for details.
Tourism, it's our #1 industry. As Guam's largest employer, tourism supports more than 50,000 jobs. In fact, 1 out of every 5 jobs is tourism-related. Annually, tourism generates over $163 million in tax revenue. Without it, every household would pay an additional $3,700 per year. From real estate to retail, tourism has a positive impact on every industry, helping make Guam a better place to live, work, and visit. Support tourism. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau, celebrating over 55 years of tourism.
Half a day, I'm Callan Perez and I'm running for senator. Service to our island has shaped my life, from community advocacy and substance abuse recovery to supporting sustainable agriculture. Inspired by my parents, Dr. Perez and Dr. Erickson, I remain committed to serving the people of Guam. I'm Callan Perez and I approve this message.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs, to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who've served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
So, what's your idea of a 10?
I love guys who don't text and drive.
Girls that wait until they're parked to text? Bro, instant 10.
I don't know, but I got the ick when I went out with this boy who texted while driving.
10s wait to send. Eyes on the road, not your phone.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
More than radio, it's Guam's group chat, Wave 105. Join the conversation. Glimpses Media.
Welcome back to the show. 2:50 in the afternoon. This is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Thank you for tuning in. Join the conversation. Here's the number, 671-922-1051 or 2. Give us a call. Talk to this gentleman right here, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
Thanks for hanging out with us. It's already Wednesday.
Yeah.
Appreciate you tuning in to the Bright Side with Ryan and I. You're familiar with the guy by the name of Richard Rennie? I was asking you earlier.
Yeah,
because I've been getting these releases from Richard Rennie, who is associated with the tourism.
Oh, yeah, he's big time, man.
Group.
Yeah, he's been on Guam for a long time. Yeah, so I know he used to actually run the Sandcastle when it was the Onyx, then it went shift to the Globe.
Yeah.
And then from the Globe to what is called now the Zoo, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, he's been in Guam since I want to say early 90s, but I remember him way back when.
He runs something called the Guam Tourism Review.
Okay.
Data first, spend later. And his latest article, or his latest edition, is called Vacation Like It's 2019. What if Guam could make travel feel like 2019 again? Before exchange rates, fuel surcharges, and rising competition changed the equation, Guam was the easy, exciting, and welcoming island escape for millions of travelers across the region. Vacation Like It's 2019 is a proposed Q4 destination activation designed to bring that feeling back, not by ignoring today's challenges, but by surrounding visitors with enough value, warmth, and unmistakable Guam experiences to overcome them. And so basically the whole idea is to recreate some of what made Guam attractive before the pandemic. And so when we look at this article here, or his release, he talks about why Guam has a much tougher sell today. The yen is weak, the won has lost some value, fuel surcharges are higher, travel costs more, and other destinations are competing hard for the same tourists. And so Guam may have airline seats available, but that doesn't automatically mean people are going to be buying tickets and then coming to Guam. And so if we can't control the exchange rate or fuel prices, let's control what visitors get once they choose Guam. Give them enough value and enough of a good experience that they feel the trip was worth the money. This would involve the entire tourism industry. So the idea isn't really just for GVB to run another advertising campaign. It would bring together airlines, hotels, restaurants, stores, attractions, other offerings, businesses, right? To create one coordinated Guam experience. And so that could look like gifts, discounts, special deals. I don't know. Did we ever have I don't even think he's talking about the local discount. Did we ever have that?
No.
Like when you walked into a hotel or anywhere down in Tumon, you got the local discount?
I remember when back in the early 80s, if you were to catch a boat ride to Cocos Island, you had, those ushers there is like, reserved for Japanese. And so, pretty much I'm like, wait, hey, hold on for a second. I paid my boat thing here too as well, my boat fee. All right. But yeah, no, I mean, so, I get it. Cause how many times
he's not talking about that though. I'm just trying to understand maybe giving small gifts, better deals, right?
And like when we travel, Pauly, when you go travel, when I go travel, I look for the best, the best restaurants that are cheap.
Yeah.
I look
best
for
bang for your buck,
best
right?
bang for your
I'm not
buck.
a luxury,
Yeah.
obviously. I'm not a luxury traveler. I'm more of a bargain traveler.
But in general, when you generalize your trip right after coming back to Guam, when you start talking about, man, you got to go to Vietnam. The food there is great. It's very.
Have you been?
Very, very cheap. No, I haven't. But I had my cousins and friends that went to Vietnam, and the only thing that they tell me, hey man, the room was cheap, the food is cheap. You get to go sightseeing and everything. All these tour packages are cheap. So it makes me want to go to Vietnam and just check it out.
Yeah.
But here on Guam, you get off the plane and you don't even have a sidewalk. So, and everything here is expensive. And, so I would like to see, I think what Mr. Richard Rennie is talking about is the Guam experience, right? Okay.
Oh, that's Speaker Frank Bloss.
Yeah. Okay. No. But,
I've seen what he's trying to do with the Guam experience.
Like take the tourists out from Tumon because really there's nothing there. You don't have a water park there anymore.
Yeah, you do. PIC.
Well, yeah, but
PIC's a water park.
But I'm talking about Tarza, man.
Oh, I would argue that PIC was always better than Tarza.
Oh,
no,
no,
oh,
no.
Well, yeah, you're right. Tarza's a little bit old for the older.
No,
PIC's like a family water
the
park.
Flow Rider. You had,
you're right.
You had all these. Rider. Yeah, you had all of this stuff, right? But but you take because when you really look at Tumon now, right there, you see a lot of abandoned hotels.
Yeah.
Right.
The two that are just looking at each other.
Exactly. And so, when you look at places like Fisheye, right, and then whatchamacallit again, what's the one down in Talifofo? The boat ride or the riverboat?
Bikini?
No.
Valley of the Latte.
Valley of the Latte, right? You take them out to these places and everything. And then even, Lunson Antigo down in Inarahan.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about culture, so they decide to bring the culture to Tumon. No, it just doesn't have that feel, right? When you go over there to Inarahan and you see Bear Rock, and then you see the huts that are made out of bamboo, and the coconut leaves are for the roof. That is the experience that Speaker Frank is talking about. Bring them out, show the beauty of the island, because the beauty of the island is not just Tumon. Right.
Oh, well, yeah, Guam is not Tumon.
Yeah, and so, remember, these people leave their concrete jungles to come to concrete jungle here in Guam. Come on, man.
No.
Doesn't make any sense.
I think we're all in agreement, including GVB, right, is sun, sand, and fun.
Yeah.
Right? The weather is perfect, and you want to put your feet in the sand and the clear water and get the water the temperature is perfect here.
I don't know if there's a difference in the packaging here in Guam, the tour package, but if something's expensive, pack those buses again, man. I love seeing, the tour bus down over there at Angel Santos Laddystone Park, getting down and crossing, doing the cross rocks. I literally stop and keep flagging them down. Come on, don't worry about me. Just go see the Laddystones. These are things that I don't see anymore as much, and it's because of the dwindling tourist numbers. But if we can, man, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, okay? Take things that worked back then, apply it now to today's standard, and the stuff that doesn't work, throw it out. Just let's look at the things that we're successful at.
I wonder if he's talking to GVB.
I hope so.
Because he's talking about a whole Christmas promotion, a fourth quarter promotion, to offer the visitors beginning October. So do it for all of October, November, December.
Well, Richard knows this stuff because on November we have that Japanese, what do you call it? The Japanese night that they do? What do they call it?
No, they moved it.
They moved it?
Yeah, it's no longer the autumn festival because of the typhoons. They moved it to April, and now it's a spring festival. Still, plenty of people go.
Well,
they moved it recently.
Well, if it ties in, then move it back. Move it back.
But then the typhoons. The whole reason why they moved it is because they don't want to be in typhoon season.
I get it, but
and the wet season.
If the promotion happens on October, you got November, and then you got Christmas. So these are things. I look at the Philippines. Like what concerts are coming in, and then when I look at I want to go see this person.
Yeah. Then you make the trip.
Then
right?
I make the trip. Then I start doing the hotel stays and everything and all. Get my driver. And
but
whatnot.
we're not even in that market. Like I don't like it when people compare us to the Philippines.
But
Vietnam and those are millions of people there.
No. But when you start talking about
like our
Japanese festival, Christmas, when you start talking about
I don't even think we can compare to what Okinawa is when we talk about our market. We're a small market.
Yeah.
Very small.
That's the uniqueness of Guam, is that they're not going to go through 1 million plus people at the airport.
Yeah,
exactly. That is the uniqueness of Guam.
Yes.
That you're gonna have a great time, and you're not gonna go through the hustle and bustle.
Very chill.
Very chill.
Very demure.
We listen and we don't judge.
Very laid back. Very laid back.
But you sell the uniqueness of Guam. It's like, okay, there's a bear rock. Where's a bear rock around the world, right? Where can you go and make bread?
The culture.
The culture is
the
there.
The food. I would argue that we've got some of the best restaurants in this region. There are some Michelin star restaurants in Singapore, and I'm like, I think we've got better shish kebab at Chamorro Village.
Yeah.
That's, I'm biased, and that could be true. But the flavors are just popping. You can smell it in the air, too.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And so
this...
I was very excited to go to Singapore and try all of these restaurants, even these, the hole-in-the-wall ones with the Michelin stars.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to try. I want to be impressed, right? And when I was impressed, but I kept thinking about all the restaurants here that would definitely win Michelin stars.
Oh yeah.
Based on my judgment and who am I really, right?
If you ever go to Tinian, and there's not that much restaurants there, but there is this one place, I kid you not, it's like a back kitchen at grandma's house, right? Made out of tin and everything.
Right.
You just walk in. The screen door is the mesh screen with the metal chicken wire and everything when you open it up. But I kid you not, when you walk in, they make you feel at home, and the shish kebabs are to die for.
Nice.
I would put it up with some of the best ones here in Guam, and it was just, and when it was one of those homemade, whatchamacallit again, barbecue grills. It wasn't literally. Yeah, the whatchamacallit, something that they welded together and but the food there is awesome, man.
Yeah, don't call public health on them.
Oh no, those guys are at an A right there. Because they're very clean. They're very clean.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people go there, especially all the military. When I went there a couple months ago, the military, that's their go-to right there. And there's only probably 3 or 4 restaurants that are there, but that is their go-to because of the barbecue.
KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam. I'm not going to say the name, but there's a restaurant in Anigua, and you know it, but we won't say the name.
Okay.
But there was a restaurant in Anigua that all the food was so fantastic. And then when it closed and they renovated and, bought new pans and the cats weren't around as often, the flavor just wasn't there anymore. It just wasn't the same.
No, I know the restaurant you're talking about. I think it was the Roach Eggs. It's not there anymore.
Don't scrub that pan so hard. That's flavor.
No, there's a place in New York, right? I want to say it's New York, where they haven't changed the oil for like 100 years.
Wow, really?
And that is the mystique.
Oh
of
my
it.
goodness!
Yeah.
All of the flour.
Yeah.
But
they do clean the oil. They do clean the oil. But
that's the one thing I can't stand.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fry fish,
Yeah.
you better only fry fish in there. I
Yeah.
cannot stand. I've tasted lumpia that was fried in the same fryer where they fried the tataga. I'm like,
Yeah.
or the what do you call it? Not the parrotfish, but there's the milkfish.
Yeah.
I'm like, yuck.
The bangus.
Yuck. You need to separate your fryers.
No, well, this one is only chicken. They only fry chicken in it.
There
So
you
they
go.
don't fry anything in it. But that oil has been going on for about 100 years, and they do, they put some solution to actually get all the burnt, stuff, and it catches it.
Yeah.
And then they just reuse the oil after that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And it's part of the mystique. It was what's your secret?
Never changing out the oil.
KFC got 11 herbs and spices.
Don't tell public health, but it's never changing the fryer oil. Hey, like the kids say, don't yuck my yum.
Yeah, exactly. Don't yuck my yum, man.
I love 100-year oil chicken, fried chicken. How's that for herbs and spices?
You ready for the AP News?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we got another hour to go on the bright side, and then of course, I'm going to make room for Senor Ron Laguardia for Odin Fina tomorrow from 4 to 6, all right here on Wave 105. Don't go anywhere. Time for your AP News update.
Force 1 after last. AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump says he slipped away from Air Force One after last month's NATO summit in Turkey because the Secret Service and military wanted him on a different plane due to a threat. Darlene Superville has details.
The Washington Post had reported that the misdirection carried out by the White House was done because of an Iranian assassination threat against the president. President Trump and some of his aides, after they boarded the Air Force One, were secretly taken off the plane through a back door into a catering compartment that is usually used to deliver food and other supplies to the plane. They were then driven to a smaller government plane that flew them all to the United Kingdom. There have been questions about the safety of the new Air Force One that was a gift from Qatar. Intelligence officials, according to reports in the New York Times and CBS News, were concerned about a potential attack on the president or the new jet.
More shots have been fired in the Middle East. U.S. Central Command says it targeted a Panamanian flagged ship in the Gulf of Oman, trying to evade the blockade of Iran's ports. And Yemeni authorities say Iranian-backed Houthi rebels killed at least 6 people when they fired on a vessel in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The waterway's been serving as an alternate route to get Saudi oil to market via the Red Sea. In Colombia, crews are still searching for those trapped under collapsed buildings after Monday's 7.4 magnitude earthquake. At least 181 people have died. Civilian-run databases suggest close to 4,000 people may be missing. And a notice published by the Department of Homeland Security indicates it plans to spend up to $20 million to purchase gloves that can deliver painful electric shocks. They're intended to help ICE agents deal with combative subjects. This is AP News. A special election coming up this week in Britain.
Timing is everything in comedy, and so it seems in British politics. For a perennial joke candidate,
my name's Count Binface,
who wears a garbage can on his head,
intergalactic space warrior, leader of the Recyclons from planet Sigma 9, and part-time Democratic politician on Earth.
Count Binface has landed in the centre of the UK's political universe ahead of a special election Thursday that was derided as a farce long before the ballot was packed with nearly 3 dozen candidates.
Nationalising a debt.
Many from the silly end of the spectrum.
Building at least one affordable house.
Binface was the first to throw his cap into the ring when Reform UK leader Nigel Farage abruptly quit Parliament and said he'd seek re-election to clear his name over financial allegations. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway. Eat fresh, feel good.
Tourism, it's our #1 industry. As Guam's largest employer, tourism supports more than 50,000 jobs. In fact, 1 out of every 5 jobs is tourism-related. Annually, tourism generates over $163 million in tax revenue. Without it, every household would pay an additional $3,700 per year. From real estate to retail, tourism has a positive impact on every industry, helping make Guam a better place to live, work, and visit. Support tourism. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau, celebrating over 55 years of tourism.
Half a day, I'm Callan Perez and I'm running for senator. Service to our island has shaped my life, from community advocacy and substance abuse recovery to supporting sustainable agriculture. Inspired by my parents, Dr. Perez and Dr. Erickson, I remain committed to serving the people of Guam. I'm Callan Perez and I approve this message.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs. to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
Guilty pleasure songs for me. Love by Redbone.
Doesn't take much to make us happy and to make me smile weekly. Never will feel discouraged, 'cause your love's no mystery. Yeah. Doesn't take much to make me happy and to make me smile with me. Never will feel discouraged.
3:12 in the afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Here's the number 671-922-1051 or 2. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. Standing by the host, Mr. Pauly Suba.
And we do want to thank our sponsors, GTA, We Start With You, Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Micro Pack for sound tech and everything in between. Think Micro Pack. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And Triple J, it's big deals on big wheels. The Triple J Ford, save thousands off retail and drive home a new Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Visit Triple J Ford today. Customers first. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us. 671-922-1051 or 1052. We are online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. So, yeah, the legislature is back in session to debate or to get more information, actually, because they're in the committee of the whole right now, getting more information on the governor's new budget that keeps most of the budget that the senators already passed at the BPT at 4%, right? So the biggest difference is the administration now believes that there are more corporate tax money that's coming in than originally expected. And so they originally budgeted about $143 million in corporate taxes, and now they're projecting $161 million. So that adds another $18 million to the budget. That extra $18 million is being used mainly to put money back into public health. Remember, we were talking about that the child care subsidy is not enough from the federal government. So they need that extra $7.6 million to keep that whole program whole for an entire fiscal year. Then also for programs for Guam behavioral health, police, fire, and corrections also. They need some money for recruitment so that they can have new officer cycles throughout the fiscal year. And so what this does is it appropriates money up front rather than GPD later on in the fiscal year saying, hey, we're ready now. We would like to have we would like to put together a cycle. Can you give us the money? They're going to do it up front if this bill passes. Same thing with fire. Corrections, also another $5 million that could go towards a new DOC, a facility, a new facility. And then the $18 million is based on a projection. And so about $130 million had actually been collected as of the end of June. And so now the administration believes it will reach $161 million by the end of the fiscal year. And so Guam needs that $7.6 million locally now to cover the child care subsidy shortage for, not just this current fiscal year, but moving forward. So they're basically going to be short another $7.6 million next fiscal year. So the other conversation that I want to pay attention to is, what about GDOE? The governor wants to put GDOE back under DOA's central accounting system. And we had that conversation with Senator Vince Borja last night, right? Among other things. And so he was saying, well, if you do that, you might as well just give the authority back to GDOE back to the governor's authority. So we'll see how they flesh that one out, and what will be some of the senators' what will be their concerns on that specific chapter, because that's what's new. And what BBMR has done, mostly from Abby. Abby was able to explain most of the questions because Lester Carlson was unavailable. I think he's back, though. When I went and checked the session during the break, I saw Lester. But Abby she's part of the BBMR team. She was able to explain a number of things that are different, or that are new, so that none of the senators are surprised. Because like Senator Chris Barnett, when he spoke, he was saying, there's 250 pages here. Can we go chapter by chapter? However, I mean, that would be time consuming from, I'm guessing, right, that it would be time consuming, how long it takes to debate a budget. Now they're back at square one debating a whole nother budget, because the one that the legislature passed was vetoed. And so they're trying to move this along by only having 3 rounds and not going chapter by chapter. What they're doing is allowing, in the first round, every senator to ask questions on everything that's in this bill, this 250-page bill, right? And so you have 10 minutes to ask what you want.
Wow.
And then round 2 is you have another 10 minutes to ask what you want. And then in round 3, that's when you can start including amendments. But I mean, as a whole, right, this is where I agree with Senator Chris Barnett that it should go chapter by chapter. However,
I agree.
However, it, he got shot down once again, right? I mean, you need 8 to overrule the chairman, right? And the chairman is Senator Chris Duenas, and they didn't have 8. I think they only had 3. So Senator Chris Duenas is moving forward with the rules of engagement. So that's where I think that the 15 can just come together. That I guess I'm going to be living in fantasy land again, Ryan. If the 15 can just work together, if you all have 10 minutes, right? Then multiply that times 15, and that's how much time you have as a team. Times 2, because you get, it's basically 20 minutes, 10 minutes for each round, to flesh all the concerns out. It's kind of like a journalism team, or like let's just say a news team. It's like, okay, so we only have about 30 minutes with the president. And I only have one question. If we all come together and say, we're all going to work together so that we all can get the answers we need on this issue, what's your question? And so the 6 of us that are journalists are going to tell each other what our questions are going to be ahead of time. And then we agree among the 6 of us what the 6 questions will be. Because sometimes when you get in there, you're like, all right, every media, this is the only way that I can explain it. Sorry, just being in the media world. You only get one question because we're on a time crunch here. Yeah. So you should be very lucky that you have this opportunity. So you only get one question. So as a group of journalists, you tell each other what your questions are going to be. And then the 6 of you just agree to agree on the 6 questions. So we all get the answers that we need to tell our audience or our readers, ultimately the community. And so if the 15, again in fantasy land, can, I hope they did it already, or during the lunch break, that they come to an agreement. These are the questions that we're all going to ask. You take public health. I'll take Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. You take DOC. You take Guam Fire Department. You take GDOE. And let's get all the questions that we need answered. I think it can work out like that. And that's just me watching from the outside. Because what I'll see sometimes is, why are we asking the same question again? Why? We've been sitting here for 3 hours, and you're asking the question that was asked 3 hours ago. And you can kind of see it on Lester's face. Yeah. I gotta explain it again. So I agree again with Senator Chris Barnett that it should go chapter by chapter. However, it didn't go that way. It didn't have the votes. And so I think with 15 of them and the time that they have, that they can use this time effectively. They can make good use of their time, and we can figure this out, right? Or they can figure it out for the benefit of the island, because yes, they're deciding on the budget for these agencies, but like Ed Ontalon is saying, right? What are these agencies going to do with the money? And execute what your mandate is with the money you're given. There are no more excuses. You're not allowed to have excuses with a $1.4 billion budget.
Can't, man. That's, jeez.
And it has increased by another 18 million. Right?
Well, I'm actually with Chris Barnett, Senator Chris. They need to actually go through
chapter by chapter,
and look at every fine detail, and be allowed to ask questions. How many chapters are there?
There's more than 15.
Okay.
I have it all in front of me.
So then they have 15 questions.
There's close to 30. So, round 1, round 2.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And then on the second round, you can rebut.
Sure.
You can have your rebut questions.
Right.
Yeah. And there's so many. Just treat it like a gubernatorial or a senatorial debate. You have your time with your answers, and then you have a rebut questions.
I got it now. Let's see how many chapters there are. There's sections. Let me see. Oh, they're all by letters though. They all go past Z, and then there's AA, AB, AC, AD. So there's plenty. If you're going by section, yeah. Let me see. I'm not going to give... There's definitely more than 30 now if you just go by that. If you go by section. Because if you're looking at like street light fund, solid waste operations fund, sanitary inspection revolving fund, police patrol vehicle and equipment revolving fund, the total Guam highway fund, I'm just wrapping out a whole bunch of different sections. Banking and insurance enforcement fund. But that's not actually what I'm looking for, like public health. I'm looking for GDOE, the charter school. That's what I'm actually looking for. Okay, see, it's not by a number, it's by an alphabet. So Guam Department of Education is G. Guam Community College is D. Right? So then you got the University of Guam as well. It actually was easier to follow along when the legislature had the budget. At least I'm not seeing, it's not going into the same kind of detail.
Did they give the reason as to why they don't want to go chapter by chapter? I mean, is there like something?
I don't remember what Senator Chris Duenas said. I honestly, I know what Senator Chris Barnett said. He said, it sounds like the legislature or the majority wants to vote on this by Friday. And so it's probably the time, right? And so today's Wednesday, and if they don't go chapter by chapter, then they very well could be voting on this by Friday. And so Senator Chris Duenas, that was the last time I was able to follow along right before they recessed for lunch. He said, there are some differences between our budget and the governor's budget. But I think the legislature has done a pretty good job of what we've been able to put together. And he's not necessarily against appropriating more money to GPD for more recruits. However, he explained why they didn't in their budget was because it was explained when they were in front of the legislature that they have a hard time even recruiting. And so are they even ready for a new cycle? Can they even execute two new cycles in a fiscal year? Because what's happening, Senator Shango Matautau even brought it up, was GPD has excess revenue because they're not able to get the number of recruits. And sometimes they'll go ahead and move forward with a new cycle when they don't even have the ideal amount of recruits to be in the cycle. So that was their reason why. And they said they have no problem, or what their plan was, I guess, is if GPD came to them somewhere down the line in the fiscal year and said, hey, we have our recruits. Let's move forward with the cycle. Then they would appropriate the money. Is that responsible? You can argue that it's not, because you should have the money ahead of time during this process.
But if they do have a surplus within last fiscal year budget, right? If I was in the legislature, this is what I would do. Every agency that has, they come up with like, they're come up for, okay, we want $30 million. I'm like, okay, $30 million, not bad. Okay, cool. Do you have any surplus? Yes, we have a surplus of $15 million. You know what I'm going to give them? 15. That's responsible. You guys have to learn how to use that money, regardless and everything. Yes, granted, you have a surplus of 15 million, but don't come back asking for 30 million on top of the 15 million that you have, because now it's like, this is where streamlining the government, right? Giving the money that we can give, not giving the money and then say, because the senators know that these agencies haven't used their money. Now, whether there's a disconnect between Department of Administration not getting them, they're not getting the money, well, then that's something that the legislature has to, hold the feet to the fire, whoever's leading Department of Administration. Why aren't these agencies getting the money? Why every time they come back asking for 30 million, there's a surplus in their agency for about 12 or 10 million? Why aren't they using that?
Well, and sometimes the problem isn't always we don't have enough money to hire. Sometimes it's we have the money, but we can't fill the positions.
Yeah. Well, so because that money's not being used, don't come to me asking about recruitment and we need the money for recruitment. Well, you still have X amount, 12 million to recruit. And so if your asking budget is 30 million and you have a excess surplus in your agency for 10, then I'm going to give you 20 because you haven't used that 10 million yet.
Yeah.
Regardless whether or not Department of Administration is not giving it to you on a timely manner, that's not my problem. The problem is you guys need to go to Department of Administration and ask for that money. It's already in law. They're supposed to give it to you. And so to ask for 30 million on top of the 10 million that you have, so GPD now or Guam Memorial Hospital has 10 million on top. No, I'm only going to give you what you need. So if your asking is 30 and you have 10, I'm going to give you 20. Because you still have that excess of 10 million. That's what I would do if I was a senator.
I think also what gets lost too, and so even I have had to I've had to listen multiple times to Ed Byrne and Lester Carlson so I can even understand. Because I'm thinking if Gov Guam has $88 million in excess revenue, then we have $88 million to play with. But that's not necessarily true because some of that money is already spent or appropriated or being proposed for something else. And that's where it no longer is like, okay, this is I'm in like accountant hell right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, don't say
do we have
$88
million dollars or not?
$88 million. When
What
some of it is
exactly do we have?
Exactly.
Is it 22 million? Then stop saying 88 million.
Yeah.
Say 22 million. How much money is available to appropriate?
Yeah, because the math is not mathing.
Yeah. So when you listen back and you're like, $88 million in excess revenue, okay, but when you really listen, it ain't excess.
Yeah, but
it's appropriated. There's something else that money is gonna go towards, and it's more like $22 million is what the legislature can work with and create amendments to appropriate for other programs or other agencies.
And that's where the bitter fight comes, right? Because it's like, well, you guys said you had 88 million, but our numbers here at OFB is 22 million. So what's the real? Well, we say 88 million because the money is still there, but it's already been appropriated, and when we get it, we're going to give it to these agencies. And then stop saying 88 million. What are you going to give the agencies, right? Minus that from the 88 million, and then tell us what you have.
Yeah.
Because if you say 50 million, we're looking at 22 million, so the numbers are not jiving here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I get it. I just, man, that's why I'm saying I think if there are agencies out there that have a surplus from the last fiscal year budget of 10 million, 12 million, whatever, just minus it from what they're asking this year.
And that's 22 million. Yeah. So we haven't got there yet, and that's why I think it's going to be very interesting. That maybe they're already discussing it, but some of the things that we were projecting that the legislature might have concerns with in the governor's budget, right? It's not necessarily the dollar amount, but it's whether or not putting DOE accounting under DOA. And then also changing the AG's role in procurement. And so those two things, I think, is where some people are not going to want to hang their hat on. And so that's the debate that I'm really, at this point, going to be paying attention to. Because even somebody like Senator Chris Barnett is also looking at appropriating even more. And how can you appropriate that more? Because he's still saying, if we put that BPT back up to 4.5, that's $40 more million that these agencies or just citizens could use, right? Like his amendment with the SAFU money that would go back to residents for typhoon recovery. And then if you raise it back up to 5% BPT, there's another 40. So there's another 80 million for that. But I bring it up only because it gets brought up. But I think that ship has sailed. Look, the governor already has vetoed the legislature's bill and then sent another one down that is also still saying that the BPT can remain at 4%. So even the governor has just, realized that she's also going to that will be the compromise, and see, if there's anything else that the majority of senators are not happy with. And so to me, it's not really the money anymore. It's what is embedded into this budget bill. What I do appreciate, because some people will look at it like, oh, what are you trying to sneak in there?
Yeah.
What I did see is BBMR, specifically Abby, break it all down right from the beginning. This is what's different. This is what is different compared to what the legislature passed.
Yeah.
And so they're not hiding anything per se, because they addressed it, they identified it right off the bat, right at the beginning. But that doesn't mean that these legislators, especially those that have oversight over DOA and GDOE, and even the AG, that doesn't mean that they will agree with it. And so that's an interesting. It would be interesting to listen to how they are all willing to take in that information, and are they satisfied with the information? Unfortunately, DRT's there, but it's as though they don't have all the answers. They have the acting director there, the deputy director, but she doesn't have all the numbers that they were requesting. At least early on, she did promise that she was going to get them more. But I mean, the information that DRT has is vital to balancing a budget.
They're the ones collecting the money, man.
Yeah. Yes.
They're going in with their,
You're the cash register.
Exactly.
How much is in the POS?
How much taxes were collected?
Yeah.
From property tax that you guys got your system up and running now. How much taxes are collected from businesses in an individual file?
Count the till. How much is in there?
Interesting. Yeah.
3:38 in the afternoon.
Yes,
We'll take the break, or no, we'll pivot, right?
Yeah, we're gonna pivot to traffic. We got to pay our bills. We got to do an accounting here. At 3:36 in the afternoon, it's about that time we check the roads of Guam. Our first look at traffic as we help you move forward along with Guam Auto Spot. Mr. Pauly Suba, standing by.
All right, let's check it out. I am seeing major congestion. This is no secret. I mean, this is something that we see almost on the daily. Lower East Sunset, actually East Sunset Boulevard, as you get closer to the airport road. Major delays there caused by the intersection right in front of the airport, and then obviously as you continue down towards Marine Corps Drive. Other than that, that's the biggest hotspot or the problem area. Over by the Dededo Flea Market, I see some delays there. Heading southbound on Marine Corps Drive towards the Guam Regional Medical City. Route 10 looks pretty decent. I know it's 3:39 in the afternoon, so I'm always paying attention to where Antolon Middle School is at this time, as they're the end of the middle school. Their classes have ended right around 3:30, so just always be aware that students are crossing the street. They do have the traffic light there that stops traffic to allow pedestrians to cross, but every now and then you do have a straggler, and there are school students, so we should always be driving extremely cautious any time we're in a school zone. And so that's right off of a major roadway, Route 10. So Just be aware of that. They just got out of school. Other than that, I don't see too many issues. At 3:40 in the afternoon, helping you move forward on this Wednesday afternoon is Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on GuamAutospot.com.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
Tourism is our number one industry. As Guam's largest employer, tourism supports more than 15,000 jobs. In fact, 1 out of every 5 jobs is tourism related. Annually, tourism generates over $163 million in tax revenue. Without it, every household would pay an additional $3,700 per year. From real estate to retail, tourism has a positive impact on every industry, helping make Guam a better place to live, work, and visit. Support tourism. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau, celebrating over 55 years of tourism.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who've served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Half a day, I'm Callan Perez, and I'm running for senator. Service to our island has shaped my life, from community advocacy and substance abuse recovery to supporting sustainable agriculture. Inspired by my parents, Dr. Perez and Dr. Erickson, I remain committed to serving the people of Guam. I'm Callan Perez, and I approve this message.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
Welcome to the show. This is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Standing by, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. 671-922-1051 or 1052. We are online to wave105.com as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. According to an article from the Guam Daily Post, Guam has missed out on a $14 million Veterans Cemetery grant for now.
For now?
Yeah. So I believe the Guam Daily Post, this is their story, they basically got a statement from Senator Sabrina Salas-Mantanani while she was at the Veterans Forum or Summit at the Guam Lecture Hall over at the University of Guam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so Guam was in line for $14 million in federal money to expand and improve the Veterans Cemetery, but GOVA wasn't ready in time. I guess she was speaking in front of the veterans that were there.
Well, it's not news. I mean, this has been going on for the longest time. If I'm correct, what it was the Veterans Office, GOVA, received the grant, but the grant actually worked in sections. This is the one where
but they had the deadline is September.
Yeah,
and so we're not at the deadline yet. So the last time when I was watching their oversight hearing, there was still work that they could do. But I do remember hearing Joe San Augustine
saying,
the director is, I don't think we're going to meet the deadline.
Yeah, because
now it's just Senator Sabrina saying, it's final now, or it's basically not happening.
Yeah.
There was still some hope at the last time I heard them talking.
Because I believe it was Governor Liu that said we do have X amount of millions of dollars to expand the facility, the cemetery. But, Director Joe Augustine was like, no, we cannot come out and say that because in order to get the grant, we have to work in installments, right? In order for us to get closer to the grant, we have to work in steps because they're always going to come back and see where we're at. Step 1 is already done, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then the grant is given out. So I guess because this goes far back as Mawar, but I believe, I remember Director Joe saying something like he couldn't really do anything with the green waste that was there. That had to be moved, but they didn't have the money to do it. And so that, him and his crew basically just put it all on one side and they were just waiting for it to be picked up. Because part of the steps is they want to assess what's there, what's being used, what's not being used. And because the land was being used for green waste, I think that kind of like disqualified them, right? So they were just waiting. And then, of course, they had to go to the next step and the next step. That's the only way you can get the grant from the National Cemetery of Veterans back in D.C.
Well, the good news is this grant is not gone forever.
Mhm.
So Senator Sabrina Salas-Mantanani is saying that she's been told the $14 million grant opportunity should come back next fiscal year.
Mm.
And so she also says the architecture and engineering contract is moving forward.
Yeah.
So
And that was
not necessarily
that
gone
was one
forever.
Of the steps. That was one of the steps. They had to
Yeah.
get the architect, the P&R or whatever.
Yes.
The PE.
Yes.
And get it all done. To get to the next step.
Right.
So if it's still moving forward, then that's good, because at least when we do apply again, most of the steps are already done.
We need to be ready to take advantage when
Exactly.
it comes up again.
Mhm.
Yeah. Apparently, the cemetery isn't the senator's only concern. She says GOVA needs more employees so it can better serve veterans.
Well, how much are they asking for?
The agency says here, according to the article, the agency recently moved into a new building in Agana Heights, which is progress.
Mhm.
There's also a plan to digitize GOVA's records, but there is currently no firm date for when that project will be finished. So the bigger concern appears to be the pace of getting things done. She says Mantanani says she can push GOVA, but she doesn't want to run it, right? So understanding that GOVA is part of the executive branch, and so senators are not necessarily wanting to run the agency's daily operations.
Well, I know that when they come up with their budget and everything, I think they look at the VSRs, right? And I remember watching GOVA, and one of the senators asked, I forget who, how are you with the VSRs, right? And they were talking, I think it was Joe Meno and Director Augustine that was saying that they need employees to get this, but then there was like, we gave you guys that within the budget, and I believe their response was, well, we're not getting it on time. But
Yeah.
I think it was they were looking at hiring at least 10 people, and that the governor or lieutenant governor is also shifting people from Adelup to go assist them. I remember that hearing.
But you have to be a certified VSO as well, right?
Yeah,
And
you do.
that's a
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and to actually help out a veteran, and that certification, you have to take a test for it, and go through the ringer, and then they give you your certification.
Unfortunately, I hope this is old news, but since we're on the topic, I remember there was a conversation, and I hope they've already, moved past it. But I was being told that there was, it was becoming political, that there were people that took the training and were looking to work under the GOVA umbrella. But for whatever reason, they're like, nah, we're not going to pick you guys.
Yeah.
And, that might be because they don't align with the administration. I don't know. But I hope, what is the mission? What is the goal here?
Yeah.
The goal is to assist veterans, right? And you have combat veterans. You have veterans that are already now in their 70s. They don't know how to navigate the website. They don't necessarily know, that some of them are tired too of the runaround.
Yeah.
And so what is the point of this office? This office is to relieve a lot of that stress and help them
Get their benefits.
Their benefits, right?
yeah.
Otherwise, just abolish the whole thing and say, you know what? We suck at helping veterans.
Pretty much. On that note, right, I got to take a shout out to my good friend, our good friend, Mr. Ben Servino.
Yeah.
That guy is, he's a veteran, right? And he's a disabled vet, mind you. And he has a business where he helps out veterans get around, and he gets his vans and everything. And just to help them out a little bit more, I'm only hiring veterans because it's one thing to have a driver that drives you around. It's another thing when it's a veteran because you guys can actually talk and identify with one another. So kudos to Mr. Ben Servino. I love the guy, man. The guy's great. Every time I see him, I'm like, hey, dude. I think I saw him the day before the election, and I'm like, hey, are you going to be taking veterans to vote? He goes, yeah, I'm driving them around.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, he goes, hey, man, if you know if any veterans is looking for a job, please give him my phone number. So kudos to you, Mr. Servino. You are awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, no, but again, back to Gova, how many employees are they asking for?
It doesn't say in the article, but obviously they need more just from the conversations that I've had in the past and paying attention to their oversight hearing. They're definitely lacking. Yeah. I to be honest with you, it's the director, and then is Joe Menno.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have some cemetery workers. Right? So, maybe one or two. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
there's
but
quite a
I
few.
do know that they need more VSOs.
Yeah.
They need more support
Yeah.
and staff there. Senator Sabrina Salas Mantanani is bringing up that they need more, but I don't have the number of, how many they have. There are some people out there like Chris Flores that would probably know that anser.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
right?
Yeah, you should talk. You should come in here and start talking about it. Yeah. Wait, hold on, because he's gonna really, really get. I don't want to get on.
Right, and I don't want to stay here for another 15 minutes. I have administrative work to do too.
Chris Flores is known to let loose.
Yeah. No, I always appreciate him.
Yeah,
when
he's a great
when
guy.
he engages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He's coming from a lot of experience, institutional knowledge.
Mhm.
The whole group, not only at 4 p.m. to 6, it has so much institutional knowledge, but it's all going to be in fluent Zamoro, too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm listening. Sitting down here just running their board, and I just want to jump into conversation. But I'm like, okay, wait, because my Chamorro's not that good, and I might say something wrong that they all crack up when they're really heated and passionate about a subject.
But Senor Laguana he's really supportive.
Yes.
He's been supportive to me 100%.
Oh, yeah.
There's one thing to there's a difference between correcting
And
so
laughing.
yeah.
Laughing
and
at
trust
you.
me, I've gotten the shame.
Oh yeah.
Right? And
Ah,
so-
boy, you're appling, boy. You're appling.
Shame. Pauasu.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but I like it when he does his alphabets and everything because I'm like, okay, I'm listening, and then you have Joe Maulik and Pete Santos jumping in too as well.
Yeah.
Everybody's putting out their thing. So it's I love the show, and I listen, and I know that there are a lot of people listening because one of my friends, his mom, avid listener, and she was like, "Hey, I was listening and I was saying a couple of my words in Chamorro too." So I'm like, "Okay, it's cool, that's good." I was like, "Next time, call in."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's up next, actually. Right, what, about 6 minutes
Right.
away from that. Yeah.
And so I guess I'll end with this because I remember when Senator Chris Duenas was asking Abby of BBMR, can we do a better job of communicating between the administration and the legislature or these agencies when when they know that their federal funding or their programs are, stalling or going away, so we can better prepare And, you know, obviously she goes, we can all do a better job communicating.
Well, for $1.4 billion, your phone lines better be working. Jeez, man.
But when it's
your internet down?
but when we're talking about federal funding, so if we look back at the last year and maybe even the last 2 years, I think that goes all, not just the agencies and DOA and the administration, but the legislature needs to be listening as well. They need to also be accountable just as much.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, I've seen it in some of the oversight hearings, is what's happening with your federal counterparts. Why is there a delay? Well, we don't quite know yet. There's the federal shutdown is causing these delays. Nobody's responding. And then they just say, well, continue to reach out to them and then let us know.
Hey, man, if I was a senator.
And then 6 months from now, and then they had, again, I'm going back to when GDOE was talking to US DOE and saying, hey, they're cutting our ARPA money short. And that wasn't supposed to happen. And they haven't given us, they're just taking it. They're not, they're not giving us ample time to fix some of the corrections that they're asking us to do. They just said, nope, it's over.
Yeah.
COVID's over, so no more funding for you. That's not at the fault of GDOE, right? And so not only do they have to communicate better, but also just work together. Get the congressman, get his office involved even more so. And that's what I appreciated about Alicia Limtiaco and Mary Torres, right? Because the first question that I asked was, what is the role of our delegate? Is the delegate supposed to assist agencies when there are shortfalls with federal funding? And it's not necessarily that it is the role, but they see how important it is to get involved even more. And so has Congressman Jim Moylan been doing that? Yeah, I've seen some of that in action. Does he need to do more of it? Absolutely, he does need to do more of it, more than ever before, more than ever, because there's too much money that is being that isn't being appropriated. And it sounds like this is going to be the new normal.
You know, if I was a senator, right, and in the majority, and I had my committees, the first thing I'm going to I'm going to go to all these head of committees, and I'm like, look, every month I want a status update on all grants that you are receiving.
Yes.
That way I know, how much to fight for.
Yes.
And everything, because I don't want to go into session and everything, and then somebody pulls a blind one on me and says, well, you guys got a grant, right? And I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
You guys want me to get your back? I need for you to get my back too as well.
Yeah.
Give me all the grants that you guys, what you're getting, how much you're getting, when does it end, and what we need to do after those grants are all finished and done with. So these are the things, but it's incumbent upon the chairman of these committees. I don't know if that's the practice now. I'm hoping that it probably is.
At this point, it has to be.
It has to be. Yeah,
it has to be the the norm.
Yes.
It really does, because that's what the conversation has been about in the past couple oversight hearings. Loss of federal funding. The program no longer exists. Right? And
we didn't have enough time to expend the money, and then we have to return it.
Right.
We've been hearing this time and time again this whole year, even stretching back to last year. And so, case in point, we were just talking about the cemetery. We lost out. So, okay, be up to date. The senators need to be up to date with the committee, with the agencies under their committee. And question and see, because that would help with the budget. In terms of, okay, we have $20 million coming to GDOE. We have $30 million coming in for GMH. Okay, we know that that's happening. Are they receiving it on a timely manner? No? Okay, now you get Congressman James Moylan involved.
Because, the administration, the federal government administration, they have their priorities. And so many times we get lost in the sauce.
I mean, we're not the only ones.
Yeah.
There's grants
So,
all over the United States.
I have my own opinions on President
Different
Trump
territories.
and whatnot, but I get it and I understand that their priorities are not going to align with ours all the time. And so we have to be ready as a whole, as the legislature, as an administration, as a delegate, and all of these agencies all have to be on the same page to be able to be there, to stand in the gap so that we don't lose these programs that we're able to fill the gap in with our own resources. And it just might be the normal moving forward, no matter what administration.
Even the Guam State Clearinghouse, they need to be involved in this too as well. They're the ones that are recognizing, they're the ones that are feeding these agencies like, okay, GDOE, there is a grant for $30 million for schools. Go get it. Right?
Well, we see it with FEMA too, because what I have seen in FEMA, two different administrations, Biden administration and Trump administration, and both administrations have shrunk emergency support funding for not just territories, but states.
Biden did that?
Biden did it too.
Wow. Jeez.
Biden shrunk it too. I mean, we can also argue that the Lahaina fires were there, and their disaster took most of the funding.
Yeah.
But there's only so much money in an agency or in a fund, and that's what they work with. And they didn't pour more money into it, regardless of how many emergencies or disasters happen within a fiscal year. So.
No, I get it. Yeah.
4:01 in the afternoon. Time to get out of here, but don't go anywhere because Orden Finu Tomorrow is up next. Everybody get home safe. Be kind to each other, especially out on those roads. By the way, before I forget, Orden Finu Tomorrow is presented to you by the University of Guam Tomorrow Studies Program. KGUM-FM in Dededo, Guam.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump says he slipped away from Air Force One after last month.